What is up, all of you beautiful nerds around the world? It is a Star Wars Sunday today, and we got to do another fan chat live. And I've got a very special guest today. He is this blue logo over here because Skype was being annoying as hail, as always. But it's James Razile coming in hot from the Rebel Scum podcast. How are you, James?
I'm great. I'm not too hot though, because it's -7 in my neck of the woods, so not coming in that hard.
Okay.
Hot.
Okay. Well, yeah. That Canadian air, man. That Canadian air will get you every time. So I understand. What's up, everybody?
I blame Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I used to live in Minnesota. I know we talked about this before, but I used to live in Minnesota, and a lot of the Canadian air would come on down to us, and it was ridiculous. I do want to say real quick.
We send you clean air, you make it cold and pollute it.
Definitely. Definitely. I do want to say to everybody that's coming in, if you're watching this on the replay or whatever, if you're not used to fan chats, I'm trying to get in the habit of saying this more at the beginning here, guys. This is a very casual video. This might not be the video for you. James, I always get this. I get people that come in, they'll comment on stuff, and they'll be like, hey, man, why are you blabbering for an hour? This video is terrible, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, you're probably new around here. The fan chats are like a casual thing. It's more for the people that are always hanging out with me, the subscribers and everything like that. But if you're watching this video and you're like, this sucks, might not be the video for you, come back and watch the more edited videos later.
Yep. It's usually me that makes that comment, so
yeah, I figured
I'll take note. I'm still going to make that comment, though.
Jeff Keith says, this is the video for me. Yeah. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you. And what's up, everybody coming into the chat? Happy Star Wars Sunday. We're going to get into the Skywalker saga. Oscar Isaac's comments about Leia, about ending the Skywalkers and everything like that. So, and obviously we're going to do some Q&A, so feel free to drop your Q&A. Super chats, of course. Every super chat will be answered. It helps me out. It helps the channel out. If you want to do that, go ahead. If you don't have any loot, don't worry about it. Just drop a question in and we'll get into it. My first question is for you, James. I want to know, man, what does ending the Skywalker saga mean to you? When you hear that, what do you think?
Pass. I'm going to take a pass on this question. Next.
Pass.
You just like, this whole time was just me saying, next question.
Next question.
I've actually been thinking a lot about it and trying to figure out what that actually means. Like, this, like I think, and I was saying to Andrew Fantasia, that's on the Rebel Scum podcast every once in a while, whenever he weasels his way on.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with him about it. And I kind of have this feeling like, I don't really know, because like they can all die, and then you're like, well, they're over, let's move on.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like, and maybe this is unpopular, and I don't know how you're gonna take this, but
yeah,
think of the Skywalkers as the center of the universe, or the galaxy in this case.
Yeah.
And I like to look at it as A New Hope. When A New Hope starts, we're introduced to a couple of ships in space. Then we see a droid. Then we see Leia. Then we see Vader. And we meet everybody through these circumstances, right?
Yeah.
So we follow the droids to Tatooine. That's where we meet Luke. And that's how we meet Obi-Wan. That's how we meet Han. And it's that kind of, everything starts with the ships. So I guess I should say the Skywalkers to me are the ships. And everything in this galaxy, I feel, should branch outwards from there. So I don't really know how to answer your question. But I feel like whatever we get next should be a branch of something that was a seed in the Skywalker story.
Yeah.
It shouldn't necessarily, like, if you watch Solo, I know you're a huge fan of Solo.
Definitely.
You don't have to, but Solo exists because of the original trilogy.
Yes.
But it could also work on its own. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because from there you get Kira, you get Maul, you get all those things. So that's what I mean with the Skywalker saga. Is I feel like for me, it should just be the seed that is planted and everything grows around it. And so it's okay for it to end, because as long as everything kind of is deeply rooted in that saga, then that could be what Star Wars is. Because I also don't know what Star Wars is versus any other sci-fi film right now. Like, because if somebody else makes a Star Wars movie that has nothing to do with anything we've ever seen, what separates that from
Like
you
just
know,
any sci-fi or any, yeah.
yeah, like that's that like is it just lightsabers? Is it the Force? I don't maybe I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't.
it's a tough
Can you give
question.
me a better answer than that?
I don't know. I gotta be honest. I don't know if I can. It's a weird thing. You know, you think ending the Skywalker saga is ultimately, I believe, more of a marketing. I don't want to say ploy, but it's like it's a marketing technique. Because I think they really need Episode 9 to really pop, and they really need people to, you know, get those the butts in the seats. You know what I mean? And I think that
Yeah, yeah.
you know, nine feels, it feels like it could wrap some stuff up. But here's the thing. So there's multiple reasons that I think it's more or less a marketing ploy. Number one, like I'm a big believer that Rey and Kylo will probably have a child, and if that happens, technically there's still Skywalker blood around. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it would end the Skywalker saga. You know what I mean? Number two, like if Kylo lives, then I don't see how you can end the Skywalker saga if Kylo's still around. Do you know what I mean? And I think that both those things are on the table. Do you know what I mean? Like both of those things could possibly happen. Now Leia will probably.
Well, so I do have a question for you in
Yeah.
regards to Kylo surviving.
Yeah.
So, okay, Return of the Jedi, Luke survives.
Mhm.
Theoretically, that could have been the end of the Skywalker saga. If you like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if Disney said we're going to make more, but they're not going to be about that, right?
Yeah.
This was a decision to go back there. So, I think there is a way for, I guess, the story to end. I mean, it would be boring, I guess, for Kylo to survive. But you're right. Like, I don't know. If you say it's the end of the Skywalker saga, they all have, like, the galaxy pretty much has to implode.
Yeah, well, or I mean, okay, so there's multiple ways you can think of it. So I think like you get hung up on the Skywalker thing because ultimately, if you think, in my mind, I'm like, okay, if it's the end of the Skywalker saga, then like they're all done, right? All the Skywalkers are gone. Now, there's another way to do it where the saga part of it's more important. So the saga is like this big epic story, okay? And so if the saga if that story is ended, there could be like Skywalkers still, but the story's ended. But that still feels like cheating. It feels cheap because like it reminds me of a lot like a Game of Thrones thing. So like for instance, the Targaryens. So technically, the Targaryen saga could have ended with Robert's Rebellion, but the whole show Game of Thrones is about a long lost Targaryen. Two of them actually. That one is like they know she's a Targaryen. That's Dany, and she's doing her thing. And then, spoilers: Jon Snow ends up being a Targaryen as well. So it's technically not the end of the Targaryen saga. You know what I mean? And so there could be a similar thing happening with Star Wars. Now, I think ultimately Disney wants to probably just what they wanted to do was sort of just be done with it. They don't want to do Skywalker anymore. They don't want to, you know, be tied to that, continuing to have to put like Vader or references to Luke or Leia or whatever in their films and go to a completely new and different place. But I would just say this, the way that they did this current saga, barring Episode 9, because we obviously haven't seen Episode 9, I think is not the best way to do that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like if they end the Skywalker saga now with the way this trilogy is, people will just say, "Oh, yeah, the sequel trilogy. What an ending to the Skywalker saga." You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even fit right. You know? So I feel like it almost has to be like from a certain point of view where JJ's like, yeah, we're gonna end the Skywalker saga, and there might be something like I've always said that in order to end it, you go back. Like in order to go forward, you go back. So like meaning you go back to Anakin, you go back to what exactly happened with Anakin, and what exactly happened with like maybe Palpatine was involved. Maybe there's a greater thing that was going on with the prophecy or something like that. I always felt like maybe that was the way that you end it by kind of going back and giving a little bit more of an explanation to it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with that. But do you think they're going to do that though?
I think they will. I mean, like, okay, so here's the thing. So the fact that we see the Vader, so the footage that was shown to the shareholders, right, which I haven't even talked about on my channel, because honestly, there's really nothing there. You know what I mean? In my opinion, there's really nothing.
Yeah, I know. I noticed how light it was, eh? Like,
yeah, it's so light. I mean,
Vader helmet in a white room.
yeah, well,
Cool.
that's the only thing that I wanted to talk about is the Vader helmet in the white room. So what that implies to me is that JJ's going to double down again on the idea that Vader is looming over this whole thing, and that Vader is this big thing that just hangs over everything, right? And so maybe that's the whole idea here is like by ending the Skywalker saga, you have Ben like no longer give a crap about Vader, you know what I mean? Or like the whole galaxy sort of moves on from that. That could potentially be a way that they go about it. It still feels like rather unsatisfying to me. So maybe, basically, to answer your question, like by putting the Vader helmet in the white room, I that is interesting. It means maybe that's what they're going to play around with is this, well, Vader sort of lingering over everything. Maybe that's what they want to get away from. You know what I mean? Ultimately, and they will sort of go back and explain that in order to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The end of the Skywalker saga, we all associate with. I mean, we gravitate to Skywalker, so it's Anakin, Luke, Shmi, Leia, and now Ben.
Yeah.
That's who we all think of. But what if when they say the Skywalker saga, it's actually really just the Anakin Skywalker saga?
Yeah,
because really that's what it's about, right? It's
exactly,
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that is a point. But I think just ignoring Vader, like, I'm not gonna listen to you anymore. That's kind of cheap too.
Yeah.
I don't really like the thing is, I guess April 12th we'll find out more about what the heck is going on with this film. Because until then, because the thing with Last Jedi is, love it or hate it, it's really not episode 8. It's like episode 7.5.
Yeah, 100%.
And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, the reason why nothing is really explained or developed is because it's not about that. It's about a race in space, basically, over 18 hours.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that but again, that sort of goes back to this idea, and the thing that I'm kind of frustrated about the whole situation is like, well, that's not a great ending to the most iconic saga in the history of film. Do you know what I mean? So like for them to say,
no, totally.
I mean, like barring what happens in episode 9, because we really ultimately need to know what happens in episode 9. But it almost feels like episode 9 has to be episode 8 and 9.
And 9, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it sort of has to take these characters and put them through act 2 and 3 of a trilogy in one movie. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it feels to me. And like I don't know. I just don't know if that's. Like I said, I don't think that they'll ultimately do that. Now, a lot of people are saying in chat, and I know a lot of people have this idea that maybe we'll shift it and it'll be the Solo saga now. You know what I mean? That maybe now, like if let's just say that Ben and Rey have a child and it goes, let's say this is what's probably going to happen. Like spoiler alert, guys, this is probably what's going to happen. Kylo Ren's going to die, and Rey will have his kid or whatever, and way down the line, we might do a series of films with that kid or with those kids. And technically they'll be Skywalkers, but it won't be the Skywalker saga. Like it'll essentially be like a new beginning, right? And I tell you what I'd really like, James, let me know what you think about this. I think this would be cool. If we do a saga years and years into the future, and it's just a random protagonist that we know very little about, and you find out in that saga at some point that this child or this dude or this gal is connected to the Skywalkers. You know what I mean? But perhaps after they've already made a name for themselves. Do you know what I mean? So like if they do their own thing, like maybe either lead the galaxy or reform the Jedi or reform the Sith or something really cool, badass, and they become known for that, and then you later find out that you're a Skywalker, or you're connected down the line, you're connected to the Skywalker line. I think that would be really cool. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. I think that's inevitable also. I think at some point you got to go back to the Skywalker name. Because just look at this right now. Everything old is new again, right?
Yep.
And we have the reason the Force Awakens exists the way it does is because reboots are not cool. So what do? You give it a soft reboot. You bring back the characters so it's not a reboot, so it's a fresh take with new characters, but the old characters are still there. And that's what they should do. They should wait, just kind of finish the story. Don't focus so much on the Skywalker saga ending. Just focus on ending, I guess, what started in episode 1. Focus on finishing whatever the hell that story is. And then years from now, we're all going to be itching for more Skywalkers if I'm still alive.
We're
all going to be itching for more Skywalkers, and we're good. I mean, they're not going to stop making these Star Wars films. They'll stop making them every year, which is, thank goodness, that's happening. But we're still going to get them. They're going to be one of the last. It's going to be Marvel, Star Wars, and I don't know, a musical are the only things left going to be shown in theaters going forward for a while.
Right.
Eventually, and they're going to have to. They're going to have to give us something, and we're going to say, why do I want to watch this again? And at the end of that first movie, you are a Skywalker, and all of a sudden they pull the lightsaber from the stone.
Yes.
And now we're hooked for the next few movies, right? Like that's a brilliant idea. I can't see them not doing that, especially with all the theme park add-ons they could add with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's a very fair point. See some cool stuff in the chat. They've lied to us before. Disney needs this to feel like the end to get bodies into the seats. Galenko 732, kind of agree with that. Trev says 2030 Skywalker Strike Back. I like that. Let's just make it, man. Let's make it to 2030, baby. Let's keep the stress down and get the vegetables in you. You know what I mean? Keep the red meat a little minimum. We'll be fine. They'll switch to streaming and give up on movies. Maybe. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting question. We could go that way if you want. Feel free to drop your questions in, guys. James and I are super casual today. We'll be answering your questions. I want to know about this, though, man. What do you think about the comments? I thought it was really interesting, the Jimmy Fallon interview with Oscar Isaac, where they're talking about the scenes with Leia. So Poe and Leia had a lot of scenes that they shot together in 7 and in 8 that did not make it into the film. And so a lot of people are suggesting, I think this is kind of what Jimmy Fallon was saying, that a lot of these scenes that we'll get with Leia in the last movie will be with Poe. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's ultimately a good send-off? Because I think one of the criticisms of the sequel trilogy that I do believe is actually fair is sort of like a lack of attention to the relationships that were established in the other movies. Meaning like, Chewie doesn't get the hug. You know what I mean? Meaning like Leia sends Rey to Luke. You know what I mean? Like Han and Luke never meet up again. Like just stuff that kind of like as a fan, you're like, man, really? And do you think is it going to be okay if her send off is with Oscar Isaac? Would that be okay for you as a fan?
So there's a few ways to look at all this. One, I half agree with you and I don't half disagree. I don't know how to word it, but here's my thing. Yeah, absolutely. They all the trio should have been together. Like they should have been together at least once.
Yeah.
For us, and that's one thing that I think Marvel somehow understands. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, you're gonna love it because we're gonna do what you want, but also what we want.
Yeah.
And they kind of meet you not in the middle. It's usually their way, but I'm sure we don't care because they give us what we want still.
Uh-oh. Did we lose James? Uh-oh. Might be that Canadian internet, guys. Uh-oh. We might have lost James Razile, everybody. Please put a APB out for James Razile from the Rebel Scum podcast. I'll try to get him here in a second here. He's watching the stream, I think. Man. Yeah, James lives in Canada. Yeah, James lives in Canada, Kate. Look, I'm sure he'll pop back on here in just a second. Green Beans is Canadian. Nate the Great says, Poe and Leia have a pretty good dynamic in The Last Jedi, sort of student-teacher relationship. I'm excited to see what they're able to do with that footage. Yeah, me too. Look, Poe and Leia have a great relationship. Um, I really do like. I think that it would be great for those two to have a lot of scenes together. I think it would be awesome. But I'm just I just want more than that. Like if this is truly the send off for Leia, and they're spending all this money and all this time and all these resources to try and get, to try to have a nice send off. I really do hope that it's more than just those two. Like I really hope that Luke has a scene with her. You know what I mean? I think that'd be really cool. Do I think that there will be a big battle between Rey and Kylo? Will it happen in the second or the third act of the movie? Yeah, I think they'll face down. I think they'll face down in the third act of the film. Who's calling him? No, I'm trying to call James back. James Rosile back. Why move away from the Skywalkers? Is it fear of the fan base? Norin Rad asks. I don't think so, man. I believe that they always wanted to get away from the Skywalkers. I think that was sort of always the plan. Like, ultimately, like you just can't go back to that well so many times. And I think that ultimately Disney was like, when they approached the sequel trilogy, they probably said, amongst themselves or to themselves, like, okay, so we need to sort of pass the baton. We need to sort of get to a place where people can accept these newer characters or newer stories without Skywalker and, Vader and all that. But we also need to sort of like use what's already been established to get us to the next place, right? And so I think that was always Disney's plan. Now, I think that it is complicated by what happened in The Last Jedi, as far as from the fan's perspective, because there's like a fair bit of people that, are not happy with the way that the sequel trilogy is going right now. And so I think that the problem is complicated a bit. But everything that we're hearing about what JJ does in 9 is it's apparently going to be amazing. It'll get us to that place where we need to be. Yeah, James said his internet died, man. His internet died. Hopefully it comes back to life in the next couple of minutes, and we'll get him back on. I wish Kylo would live. He's the most interesting new character, Maria Miles says. Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's an incredibly interesting character. But unfortunately, like, I just can't see him living, especially with all this, like, end of the Skywalker saga stuff, man. The end of the Skywalker saga really, to me, feels like they're going to have to kill that guy, That's what it seems like to me. Exile, definitely. Exile is one of the things that I've been a big proponent of. I'd love for Kylo to go into exile. You know what I really want? I want Kylo to go into exile, and then in the next series of movies, or like randomly, like in the future, him to show up wearing all white like Ahsoka. Kate says, "Why is the thing that I've and so many other people have grown up with?" You talking about the Skywalker saga? What's up, Second Street Marvel? He's a Solo, not a Skywalker. He's technically both. I don't have a good answer for you. I just think that you need to go new places. Like, ultimately, do you want to just continue to tell the same stories, the same characters all the time? The galaxy evolves, you know what I mean? And one of the things I'm really interested to go back in time and do, like, Old Republic stuff, because it is isolated from all of that. You know what I mean? But you know what's really cool about that kind of stuff too is like you go back. There was Revan. I remember in the episodes of the Clone Wars that got that were never fully developed. So when the Disney bought Lucasfilm and they were like kind of axed the current episodes that Filoni was working on, in one of those episodes, it's literally Revan talking about the prophecy, talking about Vader in a sense, and I'd love to see some stuff like that back in the day. You know what I really want? Go with me down this little train of thought here, guys. Oh, and by the way, James, I'm gonna exit out of Skype, but let me know if your internet comes back, bud, so we can get you back on here. But if not, we'll just try again. Can we get a F in the chat for James Rosili's internet? Press F to pay respects for James Razile's internet in the chat. But what I'd really like is for them to go back to like the old Republic times, and for us to see the Sith making the prophecy and talking about ruining the Jedi. You know what I mean? Like what if the whole prophecy was planted? I see all these F's coming in. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. So hot right now. But what if that's what happens, right? They go back and like the Sith are like, we're gonna screw with the Jedi with this one. We're gonna mess with them with this one. That'd be cool, bro. That'd be really cool. That'd be something I would enjoy quite a bit. Guys, feel free to keep dropping those questions in. Super casual today. It's been a rocky stream. It's been a rocky stream because we had James Razile in here, my good friend James, who I so dearly miss doing content with. I know you're still watching this, James. You got to do more content with me, man. What vision did you have for The Last Jedi before it came out? Was it ultimately different than how you imagined it to be? Yeah, for sure. But I'll say this. So James and I did a bunch of live streams heading towards The Last Jedi called The Last Jedi Live Streams. It's a cool name, I know. I know, guys. It was a super cool name. You don't have to give me all that credit. I know. It was really cool. I make that cool. Yeah, I know. I'm really good at this. I get it. So we were doing those live streams, and as we were heading towards the film, I remember a couple of conversations we had, literally, and I want to go find these videos where James and I were saying, you know what's funny here? I think this movie is going to be great. It's going to be mind-blowing. I think we will like it, but I think the vast majority of Star Wars fans might hate it. There are literally conversations that James and I had where we were like, dude, I don't know, man. People might not like this, you know? So that was something. What did I think for the film? Like, what did I imagine? Well, I can't say that it was the same as what we got. I actually originally really wanted Luke to be doing, like, I wanted Luke to, like, actually train her on Octu. Like, the reluctant mentor thing is kind of an interesting take, and I'm not upset with it. I know a lot of people are. I'm not upset with it. But I did want more, like, green lightsaber Luke. Like, I thought that Luke should have been... Like, ultimately, this is what I thought. So, Ryan's explanation for why Luke is on Octu and why he cuts off his connection, or it's because he cuts off his connection to the Force. He's basically like, no, I don't want to be attached to that. That's actually really smart. It's great. I think it's awesome. The way that I was going to do it, I would have had Luke on Octu powerful as a Force god. And the reason he stepped away from it was because he's so powerful that he feels like if he interferes, it's gonna like it'll just destroy things. It's just he's so strong that he can't be involved. And like Rey shows up, and the way I would have done it, Rey shows up and Luke's right there, and he's like, Rey from nowhere, I know why you're here. You've made a mistake. You should turn around and leave. And then, like, she presses him on it, similar to what happens in the film. But basically, Luke's just like, you think I don't know? I know everything. I felt Han die. I was there. You know what I mean? And, like, Luke's like, I've been everywhere. I know everything. I know what things that you don't even know. You have no idea what you're doing. You know what I mean? You impotent child. You know what I mean? And, like, had him sort of being like that. That's what I would have done. Thanks, Second Street Marvel. Yeah, man, I quietly cater this channel. I've been sort of quietly catering the channel and kicking trolls over time. And we'll get there. We'll get there. I mean, I think we've got a great community here. I don't mind people having a difference of opinion and voicing their opinion. But like if I like get the sense that you're just trying to be a troll, you're gone. Forever. Forever, you're gone. And it happens on both sides. Both sides. There's trolly people that are like, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like this whole culture war, this whole freaking thing that's going on out there. There's trolls on both sides, man. And the buck stops here for the trolls. Call me the troll killer. Do you think the artistic minds behind the movies are actually thinking about what fans will like? Should they? What about creative freedom? That is a great question. Great question. It's a multifaceted question. Do I think the artistic minds behind the movies are actually thinking about what the fans will like? Should they? What about creative freedom? It's interesting because the storyteller should tell the story for sure, right? The storyteller should tell the story. Now, the thing about Star Wars is the baton is passed a lot. There's a lot of different people that get to tell these stories, play with these toys in this sandbox, and they should do their own thing. But I always liken this to like the Marvel Comics example, and not recent Marvel Comics, because recent Marvel Comics is a mess. But like, what I mean is this. The Marvel characters exist, and they're all like these toys. And the best writers, what they do is they are given these toys, and they take them on a very interesting, often weird and sort of different adventure. But then the responsibility of the writer is to put the toys back on the shelf the way they found them. You put the toys back on the shelf the way you found them. So you dance. You dance out on the outskirts. You do something crazy. You do your own thing, but then you return to form. That is what people should be doing with Star Wars. You should be able to go do your crazy Rian Johnson shit, but then return back to form. You know what I mean? So like the example of the easiest way to switch to change The Last Jedi in the way that I just described is to just not kill Luke. So if Ryan does everything that he did and then he just doesn't kill Luke, he puts the toys back on the shelf the way he found them. It's the same thing with Han in 7. The best way to put the toys back on the shelf the way you found them is to not kill Han Solo. Now, Han Solo eventually has to die. They all eventually have to die. But that's my thing, right? Like, that's where I think there's been a disconnect between, okay, I want to tell my story, and I should have the creative freedom to do that. And you should. And you shouldn't be thinking about the fans when you're telling a story, because storytelling is not fan service. But this is an infinite story. Put the damn toys back on the shelf the way you found them. In my opinion. What did Oscar Isaac say? I missed that. Well, basically, he had an interview. He had a couple different interviews. He's been talking about stuff, and he had an entertainment or a interview with Jimmy Fallon. And the Jimmy Fallon thing, they were asking him about the Leia scenes, how that's all going to work. Basically, Oscar Isaac has said multiple times at this point that it is definitively the end of the 9 movies. It is definitively the end of the Skywalker saga, episode 9. And so, we've heard a lot of different things about that. Disney has said that, there's the end of the Skywalker saga, blah, blah, blah. Well, Oscar Isaac says, no, it's definitively the end of those 9 movies, which is strong language. What does it mean? How can you end the Skywalker saga? And then again, a lot of what he gets continuously asked about is Leia, his time with Carrie Fisher. He did a lot of work with Carrie Fisher in different scenes. And the questions are, well, what do you feel about what they did with her in 9? How much can you say? And Oscar has said some really cool things. He's like, well, look, we felt like we owed it to the character to engage with the character. So his scenes, he has scenes in 9 where he engages with Leia. And he felt like that was a great, great way to pay respect to Carrie Fisher, to pay respect to the character. You know what I mean? Is to sort of do that. So that's what Oscar Isaac was saying. I just keep praying that because Rian Johnson messed up and his metal hand didn't fall off, that Mr. Transport Luke to somewhere and he's not really dead. Yeah, I've heard that before. No, he gone. Kylo goes into exile in the opening crawl of episode 9, and he is the MacGuffin of the movie. The Resistance beats the First Order in 30 minutes of the movie. The rest of the movie, everybody's searching for him. That'd be kind of cool. I'd be okay with that. What about the last names things that people are so rattled about? I don't know what that is. What last name things? What are you guys talking about? What you talking about, guys? Ray and Finn, the fact that they don't have last names, is that what you mean? I don't know why people would be rattled by that. Norin Rad, do you think fans will be happier with episode 9 or Endgame? So here's what I think, Norin. I think that what happens at the end of Endgame is going to make a lot of people pretty sad and pretty depressed, but I think it will feel like a good ending. Maybe not a satisfying ending, but a good ending. And I feel like there will ultimately be an incredible swan song for Captain America and Tony Stark. And I think that if those characters both die, which I think they might, it will feel okay. Like fans will not like it, but they'll be like, "Damn, that was so Cap, though." You know what I mean? Like he laid himself out on the line. You know what I mean? Like he did this crazy. It's like, "Damn, that was so Tony." You know, like Tony Stark did his thing. He built this, that, and the other thing. Like, holy crap. You know, I feel rewarded as a fan. I feel like, yes, that's a satisfying ending. I don't like it, but it's a satisfying ending for those characters. As far as episode 9 goes, it's like a completely different thing. So if episode 9 is like really, really good, because I think it will be. Like, I think it's going to be really, really good. And I think that it will. Like, a lot of people that didn't like The Last Jedi are going to love episode 9, I feel like. And so in that regard, maybe more people will be happy with Star Wars Episode 9 because they'll be like, okay, we're back. You know what I mean? Like, we're back. Because, you know, I think The Force Awakens is a pretty good movie. If you don't like The Last Jedi, I don't know. Look, everybody's different in where they're at, but I think overall, there will be a lot of Star Wars fans very happy with Episode 9, particularly if it's sort of, if it sort of goes into a place and into a direction where people are like, oh, no, I actually think the sequel trilogy, you know, thumbs up, you know, even if they didn't like The Last Jedi. If JJ can pull that off, that's the bigger win. You know what I mean? But, I mean, Endgame's a totally different animal. Like, Endgame is like, man, like, I've never seen anything like Endgame. I've never seen anything like the hype for Endgame. I've never seen the anticipation. I've never seen this before. What Marvel has done, like, just can't be overstated. It's an absolutely incredible accomplishment, and they've pretty much already won. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. What's up, Yova? Which do you believe would have a bigger impact if it fails, Endgame or Episode 9? Endgame, 100%. Star Wars really doesn't have much to lose at this point. So with where we're at with The Last Jedi and stuff, like Star Wars really doesn't have that much to lose. Like the fan base is pretty divided. People are like wishy-washy on it. Now what's interesting is, you know, people talk a lot of crap and they don't like the sequel trilogy and all that. But people are still going to be buying lightsabers. People are still going to be going to Galaxy's Edge. People will still be doing all of this stuff. Star Wars is going to be fine. And it's also like, it's just kind of in a downslope right now. So like if it fails, it's already in a downslope. It's not as big of a deal. Flick Talk coming in hot with the $2 super chat. Thank you, my friend, for the support. I hope Luke's Force Ghost outfit is black. That'd be pretty sick, dude. Be pretty sick. I agree. But as far as your question, Second Street Marvel, if Endgame fails and flops and people hate it, that's really bad. Like after the buildup of Infinity War, that'd be pretty tragic. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion, though. We all get to see both. Heck yeah, we do. 2019, man. What a crazy year for the nerds. Rough Gollies Rock says, I only know one truth. It's time for the talk of The Last Jedi to end. We have to move on and get our butts out of the past and stop discussing a movie that clearly will get you attacked for liking. I don't think we're ever going to stop talking about The Last Jedi. And I think that Rian Johnson made that movie specifically so that we never stop talking about the movie. So if you don't like that, you have only, I think, one person to blame, and that's Ryan. "2019, the year of the nerds. Obi-Wan Kenobi is definitely in episode 9. It's in secret and Hayden too. Some people can move on, but not us." Oh man. Yova, I've got some cool Raylo stuff that I'm working on. Some really, really cool stuff gonna be coming out soon for that. Would I rather see Old Republic in a streaming series or a trilogy? I'd rather see it in a streaming show. However, I think it might be better for the brand to put those babies into theaters. Make those as big as possible. Make those as big as possible. Hey, Josh, you think we'll see Luke Skywalker in the trailer for episode 9? Nope. If the Knights of Ren are really Luke's old students, that will be hardcore. I agree. I'm very interested to see what they do with the Knights of Ren. What's my opinions on Captain Marvel? 6 out of 10. Good, not great. I'm very excited to see where we go with the Knights of Ren. This should be on a t-shirt. 2019, the year of the nerds. Some people move on, but not us with Star Wars. Yeah, we should do some cool shirts like that. Definitely. Ronald Sprowell? Wonder what Star Wars episode 10, 11, and 12 will be about without the Skywalkers. Hard to say, dude. I think that's the confusing thing, right? Like, what the hell are these movies without the Skywalkers? Norin Rad says, I liked Captain Marvel much better the second time. I assume that will be the case for me as well. Do you think Force Ghost forms are what the form chose? Obi-Wan could be younger. Luke remembers himself, etc., etc. You know, okay, so here's my opinion of that. I believe that they're sort of going to manifest themselves into whatever form they see themselves most as. And so Anakin always was like that Anakin before he turned was always in there somewhere, right? And so I think that's why he goes there. Hard to say how old Yoda is when in his Force Ghost form. He looks to be around the age of when he was in Empire. And Obi-Wan is, old Ben when he turns. And I think that largely had to do with his training. But remember this, too. Anakin never receives the training from the Wills, or the Shaman of the Wills. Anakin never receives the training in order to become a Force Ghost, meaning the only reason he's a Force Ghost at the end of Jedi is because he's the chosen one. Could we see Ewan McGregor Force Ghost Obi-Wan? Yo, I'd be down. I'd be down with that. Hannah Bukowski says, I saw a theory that even if Rey isn't a biological Skywalker, she might take on the name as a title. Via marriage to Kylo Ren, maybe, even though he's a solo. So the Skywalker bloodline may end, but the name and legend will live on. The name and legend will definitely live on. However, highly doubt that they're going to do that. Highly doubt that. Is the Obi-Wan solo film still happening? Joel Stoner asks. No. It has been turned into the Obi-Wan miniseries that will be on the streaming service, Disney Plus. Mark my words. Den of Geeks. I'm not the Den of Geeks. Do you think Disney should take 10-year break from the movies after Episode 9 in order to focus on TV and outline their trilogies properly? No. I think that they just need to go back in time. For the next 6 to 8 years, I don't want to see anything in the theater for Star Wars other than the Dan and Dave films, and I want it to be the most epic, amazing, incredible Old Republic stuff you've ever even thought of. That's what I want. Kate, that's just not true. So Kate says, I feel like we are forgetting something. Not a lot of people liked Empire 35 years later. We love it. The moral of the story is people will love the sequels in 35 years ago. I wish that was true. That's just not true. I hear a lot of people say that. That's not true. When Empire came out, it was hailed. When Empire came out, people absolutely loved it. I don't know where people are getting that information that it was a split thing. That's not true. Ask any members of the cast. Look back at what. First of all, just that's not true. Yeah, it's really not true. Empire was hailed. Empire loved by the masses. I think instead of Empire, that could be more aligned to the prequels. 100%. Prequels is a better example. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. Not sure what you're referring to, but sure. Look, when I say that, I'm not just pulling that out of my butt. There's many of people that have talked about this that are in the commentary community. Like John Campea has talked about this. Robert Meyer Burnett has talked about this. There's been plenty of people that have talked about this, and I'd love to get a more definitive answer for you. But from people that I respect and people that I admire, they have all said that yeah, that's not true. People loved Empire. Could people like the sequels just like the prequels are like more now? Yeah, no, definitely. I believe in the future people will look at the sequel trilogy in a much better light, just like the prequels. Like people will sort of get over it. Also, there's a lot of young people out there that really, really like the sequel trilogy. Like, literally like young people, right? And when they get a little bit older, they'll definitely have an appreciation for it in the same way that older people do not, or rather that people like my age right now have for the prequels. So that'll definitely happen. Yeah, Return of the Jedi was more divisive, definitely, but not even close to The Last Jedi. There's never been anything close to The Last Jedi. Don't fool yourselves. Look, I like the film. The film has a lot of problems, and a lot of people don't like it. That's just the reality. There's literally never been a film like The Last Jedi in Star Wars. Even Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones was there's no really division there. Everyone's like, yeah, it's not that great, but Yoda and Dooku though. You know what I mean? Or yeah, it's not that great, but this and that and the other thing. I want to know about this. Attack of the Clones is not a divisive film. It's a bad film. You know what I mean? The Last Jedi is an incredible film that just happens to be divisive because it's not necessarily an incredible Star Wars movie. You know what I mean? I love Dooku. Dooku is one of the underrated Star Wars characters, in my opinion. See you, Tracy. See you, Norin. See you guys. There's no way around it. Attack of the Films is bad. Or Attack of the Clones is bad. It's bad. What would my reaction be if Rey turned out to be gay? I'd have no reaction. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on how they handle that. That in and of itself isn't something I would react to. Coming in hot, $5 from Trev. What's going on, Trev? What do you think of Filoni doing a Clone Wars animation style version of the prequels to fit better with his stuff, like a streamlined version? No. I think no. I think anything that touches that kind of stuff, like in my opinion, should be left to medium. Like you don't ever want to replace it. Like here's the thing. So like I think you need to sort of you can have like transformative work for the prequels, but you can't replace the prequels. You can't replace the original trilogy ever. There were people out there at one time that said, "Okay, with all these new effects and everything we got going on, we should remake the original trilogy." So that Vader fight with Obi-Wan at the beginning of A New Hope, imagine that now. And someone even redid that fight recently, like with other actors and stuff like that, and it looks really cool. And the what's the animated thing that Disney does? Adventures of the Galaxy or something, where they kind of redo it. I love that stuff. It recontextualizes moments from the original trilogies for sure. But as far as like redoing them, no. No, I mean, I appreciate the question, and I'm not the rule of law here. It's just my opinion. I'm like, no, I don't want that. Melissa says, "Hi, how are you? I just wanted to say that I can't wait for the trailer, but I wish we had a name for episode 9 by now. What do you think?" Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to have a name for the movie by now. I don't think that's necessarily that important. I'm very interested in what they say in the Star Wars Episode 9 panel. I mean, obviously, we all want to know more about it, but I'm not super hurt by the lack of title. I don't think the title's like the title. No, Nathan, it did not. The title is whatever to me. The title does very little for me. Like I think everybody, even the people that don't like The Last Jedi, would agree that that's a great title. We need a code letter for when the video goes weird. I just thought of that. Why is the video all wacky? Am I excited for Jedi Fallen Order? I'm incredibly excited for Jedi Fallen Order. And if you haven't followed us on Twitch, you need to get over there and follow the Den of Nerds No Spaces on Twitch, because when that game comes out, I will be streaming it all the freaking time. And also, what's kind of cool too is if like we'll do some videos, we'll throw them up on the gaming channel. If you don't play video games but you want to know the story that's in Fallen Order, you can watch the videos on YouTube of us playing, or you can literally like play the game with us as we play it on Twitch, which is kind of cool. Uh-oh, I'm going to sneeze. Holy cow. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to go for like 5 to 10 more minutes, and then we out. And you guys got to tell James Rosile to like fix up his internet or something, man, because I need to do more content with James. If Anakin hasn't appeared to Kylo already, why would he now? That would be dumb as hell to me. Allow me to offer you an explanation, Flick Talk. This is just my headcanon. Do you remember when Obi-Wan said, "If you go to face Vader, I cannot interfere"? What if Force ghosts, which of course are fully from the light, cannot manifest themselves around people that have been corrupted by the dark side? And so perhaps what would be cool about this to me, and Nathan, I totally see your super chat. We're going to get right there, brother. But what would be really cool to me is that this whole time, Kylo has wanted to convene with his grandfather. He's wanted to convene with the late, great Darth Vader. Grandpa Vader, the most badass of all the badasses, and he wants it so bad. But because he's on the dark side and because he is using those kind of emotions, he can't. When he finally gives that up, when he finally is drawn back into the light, not Vader, but Anakin appears. Do you see what I'm saying, bro? You see what I'm saying, bro? Okay, Nathan but Game. And I know I always say this, but I love that name. No more Sith, no more Skywalkers. So what is the future? It's hard to say, of course. I would love the Knights of Ren to be the new dark side, the new dark side group in the galaxy, the Knights of Ren. And like me, even if Kylo's gone, the Knights of Ren are out there, and like he's sort of remembered in that way, and they're the new dark side users. Perhaps, we get more of a fill out of what the Force is, a version of the Yuuzhan Vong or the Rakata Empire out in the outskirts coming in, a crazy new conflict. I would love to see a Sith Empire or something similar to that. Yeah, that'd be kind of my stuff. That'd be what I want. What do you think of the D&D trilogy? Old Republic? Yeah. Yova. I think Old Republic. Faux show. Balance is a war away. Maybe. Be kind of interesting. Okay, but so Epix 9 will have an open ending? Well, sort of, yeah, because it'll have an epilogue. I mean, the epilogue is like, here's what happened and here's what's kind of happening afterwards. You know what I mean? So I think there'll be an epilogue kind of heading towards what's happening afterwards in the Star Wars universe. Jedi versus the Knights of Ren is the future. I hope so, man. Are the Knights Inquisitor power level, do you think, or do they have or could they reach Sith Lord level? It really depends. In some of the ancillary materials and stuff, it kind of hints that not all of them are Force sensitive. So maybe not all of the Knights of Ren are Force sensitive, but for those that are, I would suggest to you that they would be able to reach the power of Sith Lords. Maybe some of them wouldn't be able to, but I feel like there should be at least a couple in there that are like pretty strong. You know what I mean? If Kylo stayed bad and died, how would you want that to go down? For him to be faced with Rey, for him to have another opportunity to lay down his arms and go with her and turn to the light side, and then he rejects it and attempts to kill her and is destroyed. Not Jedi, but Grey Jedi. I'd like it. The story group seems pretty against it. Rick asks, would you support or be opposed to the Snoke is still alive and fooled by Kylo into thinking that he killed him scenario? I would be opposed to that, yes. Aaron H. coming in hot with the Super Chat 199. Curious what they would do with Thor and Hulk after Avengers 4. I think Thor's going to be the new Odin. He'll kind of take a back seat in the MCU. He kind of won't be as active. And who really knows with Hulk, man? I mean, hopefully he's still around. Will there be a rule of 2 in the new Sith? I hope not. Yeah, King Thor for sure. I would love to see Ezra as a Knight of Ren, but unfortunately, I do not think that's what's going to be happening here. Flick Talk says, Adam Driver is just too likable to stay bad. That's always been my number one reason for Kylo redemption. Yeah, I think he was cast specifically for that. Hannah Bukowski, do you think Matt Smith is telling the truth, or is he pretending to keep his role a secret? I can't trust anything that anybody says that works on a J.J. Abrams movie. Remember when Benedict Cumberbatch came out and said, I am definitely not playing Khan in J.J. Abrams does Star Trek Wrath of Khan redo. Can't believe him, man. Yeah, Snoke cannot be alive. Now, there's a way for Snoke to be in the movie. but not be alive. And one of the things I think would be really cool is if he's still sort of haunting Kylo. If like he's alive sort of inside Kylo's head. That'd be really cool. I haven't really watched Matt Smith in a lot of stuff, to be honest with you. I'm not a Doctor Who guy or whatever, so and I haven't really seen him in a lot. Yeah, they underutilized Snoke at the very least. Do you think JJ will retcon a lot of Ryan's ideas? Not necessarily retcon the ideas, but I think he will sort of return to form for like normal kind of Star Wars stuff. I don't think he's going to retcon stuff necessarily because here's the thing, like it's not Ryan's story. So Ryan did a part of it. You know what I mean? JJ's beginning it and closing it. So like if the Rey's lineage thing ends up being a lie, it's not a retcon because we don't know. Like what Ryan says in a director's commentary is not the same thing as like, yeah, that's the rule of law for what this character is doing. So like for instance, Ryan said, I believe that Kylo was being honest. He felt like he was honest when he talked to Rey about her parents. That doesn't mean diddly because JJ could write it in episode 9 that he was lying to her, manipulating her on purpose. And that's not a retcon. You know what I'm saying? That's the story. That's what happened. I think Kennedy is done if episode 9 isn't a huge success? No. Kathy's on the way out anyways, dude. I mean, she's like 60, 65 or something like that? Kathy's out anyways. They re-signed her contract to 2021, and her job now is to set up the next person. So I think that Kathy's obviously has a lot of focus on episode 9 and what's going to be happening with the streaming shows and what's going to be happening with the next Indiana Jones. So I think once Kathy Kennedy gets all those things in order, she will ride off into the sunset, and it'll be totally fine. That's where I'm at with that. Jake Rivers says, if Ryan Johnson was a Reylo, he should have gone full Reylo, but he just teased it. Ryan also kept alive Finn and Rey and Poe and Rey. So here's the thing about that. The reason, and this is something I like to talk about, and I'm going to touch on this in more videos in the future. The reason that Reylo is so good is because it's subtle. Because a lot of people still don't believe it. A lot of people don't like see it right in front of their face. That's good. That's not bad. That's good. First of all, it means that we're all really smart because we get it and a lot of people don't. Scotty Hawk, you still in the chat? Because you should be as smart as us. So first of all, it means that. Second of all, it means that it's good. It's an interesting love story because it's not right in front of your face. The fact that you're like, I don't freaking get it, man. This guy killed Han Solo right in front of her. I don't understand it. How could she love him? Yeah, how could she? Love doesn't make any sense. It's a good love story. Shut your mouths, all you haters out there. Oh, my God. Oh, I get so mad even thinking about it. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We're back. We're calm. We're calm. It's not traditional storytelling. It's good. It's interwoven in really interesting ways. Super subtle. It's dark. It's kind of twisted in a lot of ways. It's like everything I like. If my young daughter doesn't see Reylo, means it failed in Star Wars. Well, I mean, she'll see it in episode 9. And then she'll go back and watch it and be like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. What the Sith is this says, how is it subtle? They were touching fingers worlds away from each other. Dude, that's not subtle. Bro, how many people saw that scene and how many people out there acknowledge that Reylo's a thing? Come on, bro. That's the least subtle part of it. I'll give you that. But it's still subtle. Because some people look at that scene and they still see cousins, brothers, and sister. Non-romantic stuff. Your personal experiences are clouding your mind, young Jedi, Scotty says. How many jumped to the Force baby? What the fuck? Bro. The Force child. The Force child. I remember when I was literally one of the first people to ever talk about the Force child. The theory video, which I didn't even do on YouTube, I did it on Amino because I had a deal with them. I was doing exclusive videos for Amino. That Force child video, I almost ended my contract with Amino after that video because so many people hated that theory. And then the leak came out like a couple months later and pretty much confirmed it. Whatever. Do I think Ben Solo will get a happy ending and live married with Rey? I personally do not. I know a lot of people think that. I think even more people want that. But no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Would you call Reylo a form of Stockholm Syndrome? Maybe in 7, but definitely not in 8. No weddings. Ben Solo and Rey exiled in Mortis, balancing the Force with their Force child. Maybe. Be kind of cool. What's up? All right, I'm going to do one more question. I'm going to randomly pick a question. Drop in your questions, guys. One more, and then I got to get out of here. Scotty, you're ridiculous, dude. One more question. One more question. Yeah. Will I go to Galaxy's Edge? Absolutely, I will go to Galaxy's Edge. I don't know if I'm going to go this year or not. Is the trailer or teaser happening at Celebration? It's sure better. I know I said one more question. I know I'm like rapid firing. Could Luke still be Rey's father somehow? Nope. Balance means dark and light, right? Not just light. Yep. Do you think that we're ever going to see someone being resurrected? Sort of already did. Lord Momin. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck? Yeah, Reylo's endgame. Snoke knew what he was doing the whole time? ? Nah, he was making it up as he went along, and his hubris got the best of him. You think Ben will lose a hand? No, but Rey will lose both of her legs. On a scale from 1 to 10, not at all. 10, you wanted to destroy the world. Wait, what? How much did Rey's Mary Sue abilities bother you when she beat Kylo in the first battle? 0. How much did Rey's Mary Sue? 0. Look, bro. Kylo's bleeding out. Literally just killed his dad. And in the novel, they do a really good job of explaining like that really screwed him up. They kind of touch on it in The Last Jedi, where they say like the thing, it split you to the bone. Like they kind of talk about that, like, which I thought was really interesting. Like Snoke's like, the deed split you to the bone. You were bested by a girl that had never held a lightsaber, because when he killed his dad, it had the reverse effect. It made him basically a little bitch boy. And so he's in the forest. He's bleeding out. He's a little bitch boy, and he's basically like, Rey, join me. He doesn't want to kill her. He wants her to join him. He gives her every chance in the world, and then he sits there and watches her tap into the Force, and the cosmic force sort of like takes over. It doesn't bother me at all. Kylo to Chewie, you should have gone for the head. Definitely, but he couldn't because he loves him. Vader in Episode 9? Yup, I think so. You can't write away a Mary Sue? Your statement doesn't make any sense. You can't write away a Mary Sue. That's the only way you change a Mary Sue is with writing. What if Kylo get burned up like Anakin in Episode 3? That'd be hot. Get it? You think Adam Driver is done with Star Wars after Episode 9? He seems to be above Star Wars now. Holy hell, maybe. Would you want to see a Sith Force Ghost and a Jedi Force Ghost battle? Of course I would. Any red-blooded American would want to see that. Rey and Captain Marvel are not Mary Sue's. The jury's still out on that, Yoba. We need an explanation. I mean, technically, I don't think Rey's a Mary Sue. I think there's actually a lot of explanation for her power. And Captain Marvel's not a Mary Sue either. So, yeah, you're probably right. But I do think they could have done better with both of those characters. You know what I mean? That doesn't change the fact that the man handled her using the Force. He would have never needed to even swing a lightsaber. No? Let me read that again. That doesn't change the fact. I mean, yeah, if he wanted to just destroy her or subdue her, yeah. Do you think we'll see any new lightsabers in Episode 9? Only if Disney wants to make money. Seems like they only care about helping their loved ones. If Rey's a Mary Sue, then Luke's a Gary Stu. Look, they're both characters in a fictional story, and there are aspects of their characters that are exaggerated and amplified in order to make it exciting. What if the First Order wins in Episode 9? I think they might. I believe Rey's strength with the Force explains a lot of her abilities. It did with Anakin. Why not with Rey? Totally. Look, I've said this a lot, and I really, really think that this is what they should do. If they explain that Rey is a Force birth, just like Anakin, it instantly destroys a lot of the hate for her, I feel. Because people would just be like, oh, so she's a lot like Vader. I think that would be good. Don't be sorry, Mike. I'm about to get out of here, though, so I'm sorry, actually. You know, I want to leave you guys with a thought here. I'm going to leave you guys with a thought. There's like about 100 of you guys in chat right now. Most of the people that watch these live streams never get to the end anyway, so it's just us. It's just us. So lean in a little bit. I want to leave you guys with a thought. I absolutely love Return of the Jedi, but one of the worst scenes in Star Wars is in Return of the Jedi, and it's in the special editions and stuff. Every time that scene comes on, I want to throw up all over the place. I always fast forward it. I absolutely hate that scene. But I still really like the movie. And I think that that's okay. And I think that Star Wars has kind of always been like that, right? Like there's stuff in the movies that we don't necessarily like. The overarching story and the play between good and light and this idea of the Force. There's a lot of stuff in Star Wars. I think we need to get to a better place as a fan base because like the other day I almost shared this really funny meme that James Rosile actually sent me. And it was like it had Kylo, the shirtless Kylo scene, and then Luke was like milking his nipples and getting the green milk. And I thought it was hilarious. And I wanted to post it on Twitter. The reason I didn't is because I thought a lot of people would get all butthurt about it and be like, Josh, like, how could you do that? How could you share that? You're fueling the divide. You're doing all this stuff. We used to be able to, as a fan base, like laugh at ourselves a little bit more. There's a lot of stuff in Star Wars that's super wacky that doesn't make a lot of sense. We used to be able to laugh at ourselves a little bit more. Like we love this stuff, but there's stuff in it that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just wish that we could get back to that place a little bit. You know what I mean? Like Star Wars, man. Like we should. At the end of the day, it's about like enjoying the thing and like laughing at some of this stuff or poking at the holes in The Last Jedi. Like I'm sorry, like the Canto Bite. The Canto Bite trip is ridiculous. The whole Canto Bite thing in The Last Jedi is ridiculous. But there's a lot of really great stuff in there too. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like as a fan base, we're at this place where you can't say anything bad about The Last Jedi, or you're associated with one group, and you can't say anything good about The Last Jedi, or you're associated with another group. You know what I mean? It's like, so that's it. That little stream of consciousness is basically just all I wanted to say. You guys are amazing. I love you guys very, very much. I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope you just have a good day, man. I hope things aren't too stressful, and I hope you just have a good day, get some enjoyment out of it. You feel like you've made some progress, maybe get some stuff done. And I'll be seeing you guys real soon. Thanks for hanging. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video.